Hey guys, it's that time again. This is the time where you tell all of your dysfunction to just go away. You don't have any time for that anymore. You're going to kick it out of your life. You're going to boot it down the road or give it back to whoever it belongs to. Whoever's living in your head, they're not paying rent. You should evict them if they're trying to control things because that's not their house. Okay, stuff like that. That's what we talk about on this show. Welcome to the Dr. Cloud Show. I'm glad you're back. If you are a regular, it is so good to see and be with you again. Got to talk to a few of you on Facebook in the last 24 hours. Got to spend a little time there, and I'm loving how you support each other and just build a community there, and Instagram as well, and YouTube, and it's just cool. You guys are fighting the war against dysfunction, one something at a time. Okay, however you do this. And for those of you who are new to the program, we welcome you. This is a place where we talk about life and specifically kind of the personal and interpersonal life, things you're going through, things you're feeling, experiencing, things you want to dream and want to realize and want to experience. All of that we talk about here. And if you are in the live hour, you can watch this, anytime. For those of you who can't sleep at night, we're there. But if you want to call in live, here's a number right now, 844-940-2774. 844-940-2774 is the number to get on the program. Okay, as we do in every show, while you guys are calling in, because we're giving you a few minutes to call in there, 844-940-2774. And once again, I want to hats off and thank you and shout out to the callers, because you are the one that makes the program what it is, because you give us the stuff for all of us to not sit there and voyeuristically just look at you. We're joining with you. We're certainly interested in you and what you're going through. But you know what? You're also a window for the rest of us into our lives, because my strong belief is, although we have different contexts, there are several universal issues, universal feelings, universal struggles that all of us go through, whether, whatever context we're living in, and we can identify with something pretty much on every call. Okay, so we've all had rejection or abandonment or control or something, right? We've all had something. That's what you say. When I grew up in the South, we called it something. You got something to deal with there, son. All right. How about that? 844-940-2774 is the number. All right, as we do when we start out this program every day, we start with a little bitty thought for you to take with you, kind of thought for the day while the calls are coming in. And here is what I want to share with you today. All right. Everybody needs a few anchors, I think. Kind of like a GPS, sort of like a diagnostic tree, sort of like a pilot's checklist, sort of like some way, a compass, something to look at and go, how am I doing? Where am I? What do I need to address? Well, let me give you 4 anchors for your life. In terms of anchors, what I mean is kind of anchoring issues that I think will always be relevant. Always be relevant. And I want you to look at any situation in your life and ask yourself, does it involve one of these 4 issues? Or it might involve 2 of these 4 issues. Sometimes all 4, I hope not, but it happens. And maybe that's where I need to leap in and begin to address it. Okay, anchor number 1. Is this struggle primarily because I am not connected enough to sources of strength and sources of courage for me and sources of help, sources of energy, sources of support? When you build a human, the first thing you do, all you ladies had babies out there, remember when your babies were born? We put cameras up in the delivery room, and we filmed it all. And here's what happened: when all you ladies gave birth, your babies came out and they turned around, they looked at you and they went, "Oh, Mom, was that hard on you? I'm sorry. Let me help out here. I'll clean up around here. You go, go take some time off." No, that's not what they did. They didn't do that, right? What'd they do? They came out and they turned around, looked at you, and they went, wee, 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 wee. It was the cry, the scream, the hunger for connectedness. And then you picked them up and you held them. And slowly, as they internalize that connection, then all of life changes. And they go from screaming, horrible reality, hating their lives, to total milk coma. And their eyes roll back in there. They're in heaven, right? And then after you do that 500,000 times, then they start to internalize that connection, and they have something we call secure attachment. First anchor in your life, you may be going through a season where you don't feel very connected to anybody that's giving you strength or giving you help. That's the first thing. I ask that question. Lots of psychological problems come from being disconnected. Doesn't mean we don't have people around us, but it means we're not being fueled by God and by others. Okay, and you need both. Anchor number 2. You are a control freak. Did you know that? I promise you, you're a control freak. And here's why you're a control freak. God made you that way. Yeah, we can hook a brain scan up to you, and even a toddler, take a toddler, and let's play a little game where you take the hammer and hammer the little pegs in the thing, and toddler's watching me do it, and I'm hitting them, and you hook a brain scan up, and you see a little activity in their brain, and then I say, okay, you do it, and I hand them the hammer, and they get to do it themselves. Their brain goes crazy because now they got control of something. Incredible human anchor is something called self-control. It's one of the things that the New Testament talks about. It was the whole reason for the gospel. Galatians 5 says, it is for freedom that Christ has died, to put you back in control, not be a slave to somebody else's control, but to be free and have self-control of your life. Self-control. Not be manipulated, not be violated, not be intruded upon, to be able to set a limit and say, no, this is my life. This is my head. These are my thoughts. This is my body. This is my property. This is my money. This is my time. This is my energy. This is my resources. I will choose to whom and how I will share those, invite people in to share them with me, give them, sacrifice them, but I got to be in control of my own life. Okay. And everything we do in building a human, from child rearing, after they learn to connect, they become toddlers. And what do? We teach them self-control. That's where a lot of parenting goes wrong. You read a lot of parenting books say, well, you have to get control of your kids. Last thing you want is control of your kids. You want your kids in control of themselves. So when you say, hey, Joey, sit down and be quiet for a little bit. We're gonna eat dinner. Where they do it because they're in control of themselves. But if they don't have any control, then you got to control them. Well, you don't want to be doing that for the rest of their life. So self-control. Look at this anchor. Do you feel like somebody's got control of you, manipulation or guilt messages or intrusion or bailing you out? That causes a lot of psychiatric symptoms go with that. Depression, anxiety, panic disorder, a bunch of stuff. Always has these boundary. It's a boundary issue. Number 2. Number 3, let's call this category the pain and shame. In other words, it's the bad stuff. Okay. We all have bad stuff. Any of you got a dentist? Yeah. Well, that's because you got bad stuff, right? If you live in this world, as Jesus said, you got problems. You got worse than problems. He called it tribulation. Bad stuff happens. We lose people. People die. People hurt us. People wound us. People abuse us. We fail. We fall. We do stuff that we're ashamed of. We do stuff that hurts us and hurts other people. Can I say the word? We sin. We're not perfect. Sin means to miss the mark. Yeah, we miss it sometimes. So what do you do with all that bad stuff? And what do you do with the bad stuff that people inflict upon you? So you have to ask yourself the question, how am I dealing with the pain and shame? Am I making a place and a venue and and a context to deal with my pain and shame. Pain, generally, stuff that happens to us. Shame, generally, ways in which we feel bad about ourselves and failure and this, that, and the other. I don't care what you call it. All I care about is that you realize that we live in a world that was designed to be perfect and it has fallen to imperfection. And in that imperfection, we got to deal with some hurt. So, anchor number 3, are you addressing the pain and shame in your life? Or addressing the pain and shame that somebody else might be causing you as well? That's number 3. Number 4 is, how are you doing as an adult? How are you doing as an adult? What's an adult? It's basically a person that, as I think about it, we wrote a couple of parenting books. Raising Great Kids is one of them. Boundaries with Kids is another one. And Raising Great Kids, if you look in there, it says basically the role of parenting is 3 words. You are a source. When you're a parent, you're a source to the child. You are their resource, right? Where does the food come from? Where does the shelter come from? Where does the, all the opportunities to go learn things and do things come from? It comes from you. You're the source and you feed them. Okay. Second thing after a source is you are a guardian and you guard them from basically 2 things that will destroy them. Number 1, you guard them from thinking they're more mature than they are. So you guard them from their omnipotence. They think they know how to run the stove or drive the car at 4 years old, or touch the stove at 2. No, you're not ready for that. Okay, there are things they aren't ready for, and the guardian makes sure they don't get hurt because they can't guard themselves. But you also guard them from moving away from the things that they are ready for. Okay, they'll try to regress and go back to Banky. They want their comfort. They don't want to work that hard. They don't want to face that anxiety. Don't want to face that separation anxiety. And they'll want to regress. And you have to guard them from immaturity and push them towards maturity. And then the third thing after sourcing and guarding is managing. And you manage the process of them getting a job done. Okay, that's a child, and that's the parent's role in a child's life. So, what's the 4th anchor? It is to be an adult, which means you have become your own source, your own guardian, and your own manager. And you're not looking to anyone else to source your life in a child sort of way. And that doesn't mean that we don't draw life from the outside. I just said we needed others to source us with lots of emotional support. But it mainly means this, that you're not doing it in a childlike way where you're looking for some parent figure to take care of you in a parental sort of way, where they're running your life, they're managing your life, they're writing the checks for your life. Doesn't mean we don't all go through hard times and need help. I'm not talking about that. I am talking about a chronic way of being over 18. Okay. You get to be over 18, it's time to look in the mirror and say, if I got a problem, I got a problem with you. And look right in the mirror because you are the boss. My daughter last night texted me to take her somewhere. She said, I got to go. Come get me. And I text back, you're not the boss of me. Kidding. But that's the real question, right? Who's the boss of whom? Well, when you're an adult, you're the boss of you. You're the boss of you. And with that bosshood of you, you can make decisions to submit yourself to other bosses. Like you make an adult decision to go work for a company, and then you recognize I am choosing to place myself under my boss's authority. What does that make us? It makes us 2 adults, equal adults in a contract that says we will have different roles. That's different than having a beef on our shoulder when a boss or an authority figure tells us to do something and we got an authority conflict. Well, only way you can have authority conflict is if you're a child. If you're an adult, you don't have an authority conflict with a boss. You talk to them, this and the other. And if you can't work it out and you can't come to agreement that you don't like the job description or you don't, then what do? You take your adult butt somewhere else and submit to something else. But like Bob Dylan said, we're all got to serve somebody, but adults get to choose that. Okay. All right. There's your 4 anchors. Go check them out in your life. Are you connected? Do you have control? Are you dealing with a hurt and pain? And are you an adult who's taking grasp of your talents and abilities and going and doing something with them that fulfills you? You know, children fantasize. One day I want to be a firefighter. Adults go online and sign up for a class that'll get them admitted into the firefighter program. That's the difference. Fantasy versus reality. That's why a lot of, well, whole nother topic. We should do a show on sexual dysfunction one day. But a lot of clinical sexual dysfunction problems are because somebody in their head is still in the psychological child role, and they have performance anxiety and a bunch of other stuff. They haven't become an equal, and they're not having adult sex when they have sex. In their head, they're trying to please somebody. Well, that's a child position, or feel controlled by somebody or something. Anyway, adulthood touches a lot of aspects of life. Okay, there we go. There's your anchors. We are going to go to the phone call. Oh, let me give the number again, 844-940-2774. 844-940-2774 is the number. Thank you again for sharing the show. A bunch of you are inviting other friends in and letting them know about it. We want to build an audience here. If we do, we're going to stick around after lockdown, and we're going to find a way to make the show an everyday thing that's going to continue. But we need to build an audience to do that. So share the program with your friends. And also, if you want to learn more about the principles that we talk about here, go to boundaries.me, boundaries.me, and become a subscriber. Okay, so let's go to Beverly, who's calling us from the great state of Texas and has a dating question. Beverly, welcome to the program.
Hi, Dr. Cloud. Hi, Dr. Cloud. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. How are you?
I am good. It's just such an honor to be speaking with you. I've been a fan for years and years, and I've read How to Get a Date Worth Keeping for many times. I go to Gateway, so we love Dr. Cloud.
Hey, you know what? In fact, I was just communicating not long ago this morning, actually. I sent Carrie Job a message about how her music just lifted me up this morning. Gateway has done, you guys have launched so many great people and so many great things. What a great group down there. And you do so much to help so many. You give more than most churches would even, they can't even fathom how much you guys give away. It's amazing. Anyway.
I'm very blessed to be part of it.
How can I help?
Yeah, so this is a dating question. I'm single, just turned 38. I kind of have been off and on dating online and in person for the past, 3-4 years.
Been married?
No, single. No kids.
Okay. All right.
Yes. So I'm the kind of person.
You're like baggage free.
I am.
There's
know.
No exes. All my exes live in Texas. Well, you're in Texas. You have no exes. So how hard can this be? Beverly, this is a piece of cake. Come on, what's the problem?
Okay. So I know my mom says, well, you're worth diamonds and rubies and gold. I'm like, okay. So, everybody's really like, we can't wait. So I am dating this guy for 2 months now.
All right.
I've been dating this guy for 2 months. He's amazing, Christian man. And his divorce was finalized in December of last year. So there's a lot of amazing qualities about him, just a lot of them. But I guess my question is, I've listened to your show off and on. About just the exclusiveness and how, I guess the timing of actually being exclusive with someone. What's the parameter, or what are your thoughts on how soon is too soon? Or, I'm hearing different opinions as to I should keep, searching my options out there online, but yet I'm seeing a lot of amazing things with this guy. And so I would love your feedback.
Why are those mutually exclusive? I mean, you, first time, second time, third time you go out with somebody, you could see amazing things, and that's a good thing. And you keep seeing amazing things, and you keep going out. That doesn't necessarily,
Mm-hmm.
just because I see amazing things, mean that I close shop, for the rest of the
Mm-hmm.
world. We do that when we get to a place to where um, you're feeling like something is very, very unique and special.
Yeah.
Okay, it's sort of
Mm-hmm.
above the crowd. They're standing out. I always say they got to stand out in a crowd, but to stand out in a crowd, you need to have a crowd. You can't have one guy, right?
Right. Right.
So there's some things there, and I think you begin to, um, in one sense, the exclusivity question is really, it's really where a couple of factors come together, one of which you really, 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 there's something here that is different and special, as I said. But, and here's
Mm-hmm.
the big thing about the exclusivity, but that you've appropriately vetted it. Because a lot of times people can feel very special about somebody. Oh, we instantly connected. Well, the guy's a serial killer. Okay. And
Mm-hmm.
he's instantly connected with many victims. And because certain kinds of personalities, they're more accessible early on than they are later. They start to get into the attachment. It gets, in the beginning, they're obsessively into you and wonderful and all this kind of stuff. But then the attachment forms, that's when their conflicts begin to come into play. You don't run into somebody's
Mm-hmm.
conflicts until you get an attachment, and that takes some time.
Right. That's good.
And so really
Mm-hmm.
the exclusivity thing is kind of a vetting calendar, to where you've kind of seen enough to know I've seen enough. I've checked out the major, what would be any red lights. The red lights are gone. Never go exclusive where there's a red light. Okay. But the
Mm-hmm.
yellow lights I've dived into enough to where
Mm.
now the yellow ones have turned green. I don't like going exclusive with yellow lights. So that's what time is
Yeah.
for. Yellow lights may be in our own eyes, not in the other person. Yellow lights may be because my list of qualifications is obsessively, psychotically crazy. And we start to
Mm.
give up things because other things are more important. So remember, when you go exclusive, what you're doing is you're eliminating some reference points. You're also
Mm-hmm.
eliminating a sense of balance. When
Mm.
you're all in with somebody, now you've given them way more power in a sense. And if you haven't really done that yet, then this is just one person that you're looking at a little more closely than others. Okay, now having
Mm.
said all that, I don't know if any of this is helpful. I hope it is.
Yes.
Having
I mean,
said all
so
that,
far.
well, hold on one second. Hang on. Having said all that,
Mm-hmm.
the other side of it is, if somebody is
Okay.
doing that, if the person you're with is doing all that with you, and they're doing their
Mm-hmm.
checking you out and due diligence and testing different situations, and they're becoming more comfortable, and they're investing further and further and further, at some point they are going to say, let's DTR this thing.
Mm.
And so they're going to want to go exclusive, and that's when you take the look see. It's sort of like in California when you buy a house. I think it's a little different in Texas. Y'all don't have escrow, I don't think. I think you have contracts. But in California,
Right.
you look at a lot of houses. You go inside, you date them on open house day, right? You get to go inside and look at everything, and you go, oh, I like this. Then you narrow it down, and then at some point you go exclusive, but you're still dating. What you do is you you put in an offer, but then you have 30 to 60 days sometimes to do a deeper inspection. So that's when you bring in the plumbers
Mm,
and the electricians. Now you're looking at stuff you can't see. You're looking behind the
mm,
walls. You're looking at the pipes. You're looking at a bunch of stuff. Exclusivity gives you a look-see into things that
mm.
aren't apparent when you're more surface. So at some point, there's a window on that side. Okay, I've talked a lot. Now you talk to me.
Oh, that's very helpful. And I appreciate that because so far I don't see even yellow lights. But I guess for me, because he was divorced and all of that, there's a lot of factors involved. He's got two kids and just different things. Our distance is about an hour and a half, which anyway, but he definitely has had that. He wants to be exclusive and he basically is like, I'm a one woman man. I'm not dating anybody else. I'll wait as long as it takes kind of a thing. But he's definitely rolling out the red carpet. I mean, he's met a few of my friends, and everybody really likes him so
how long
far.
have y'all been dating? 2 months?
Yes.
Okay. Well,
So
I don't know
it's
what the
just,
two
I
months
guess
looks
for
like. How
me,
much, yeah, how
we're
much time
talking
you
a lot of
get and
hours.
COVID and yeah.
Couple,
Okay. Well, here's
yeah,
another
we've
thing.
been seeing each other. Go ahead.
Here's another thing. There's more to a person than the person. So what you've got
Mm-hmm.
to also check out is you've got to check out who he checks out with, right? So one of the great ways to vet somebody that you just met or you're dating is by who are they connected to? Okay,
Mm-hmm.
because we tell a lot about a person by who's their circle of friends? What are they like? Who are they close to? What are they like? Also, how long standing are these friendships and these support systems? When you have
Mm-hmm.
somebody that's got really good quality people that they've been long standing friends with, then that's pretty good sign. So we can't just see them in a vacuum. You got to see them in their life and do they
Mm-hmm.
invite you into those circles and vice versa. That's an
Mm-hmm.
important part. And I'll give you four things to think
Mm.
about.
Okay.
Character. What's their character like? We know it, all the different aspects of that. Are they kind, honest, compassionate? Do they face problems,
Mm-hmm.
persevering, all that kind of stuff? Competency. Are they
Mm.
competent in life? I mean, can they show up and deliver to life what it asks for them to deliver? Do they have relationship competencies? Can they resolve conflict? Can they
Mm.
talk? Do they have the skills necessary to make a relationship work? So, competency in life. The third one,
Mm-hmm.
chemistry. One of the things that makes things, stick over time is we have to have a certain chemistry to make certain kinds of relationships work. That's a big one.
Mm-hmm.
And then fourthly, culture. What I mean by that is not that you necessarily come from the same cultures, but your two cultures, you feel comfortable in each other's culture. So you can
Mm.
enter into both of those. Those can be religious cultures, ethnicity, socioeconomic. Sometimes somebody really wealthy marries somebody really poor. Both of them are comfortable no matter whose circles they go into. Sometimes not, or religious cultures. So just some things
Mm-hmm.
to think about. You like this guy. I can tell
That's
you're trying to put the accelerator,
oh, I really
right?
do. And so, yeah, so I really do. Like for my birthday last week, he did something elaborate, like a sunset cruise, and he is very intentional with things that he knows I really like. And one thing, I'm originally from the Caribbean, and so he's invested a lot in just finding out everything about my culture without me asking him. So that was like,
Oh, that's
okay, that's
cool.
a first.
All right, that's great.
But
So
I like the four C's.
yeah, that's good. And let
Go
me tell
ahead.
you something about everything you just said. Incredible. Those are great
Mhm.
things. Here's what you got to find out:
Mhm.
are those a sprint or a marathon? So find out. That's what time does
Mm.
for us. Does somebody show interest and get out of their own skin
Right.
and interest in you and this, that, and the other, and they're not egocentric for a short time? Or is that the long-term person of how they're going to be. So all these things are good. So great. How
Mm.
long you been dating?
For about 2 months.
That's right. You
And
told
I
me
had one
two
more.
months.
Yeah, one more question. What are your thoughts about having to speak with the ex before really, you know, being serious in your relationship with someone who was divorced? I've heard different opinions on that.
Why would you want to do that?
That's not my opinion. I just kind of have heard that as some people that I kind of respect have
Why
brought
would
it up
someone, I know, but why would someone want you to go talk to the ex before you can date this guy?
to kind of hear their side of this. Oh, okay. To hear their side of the story before you get real serious was the only kind of suggestion. But obviously, yeah. So I get what your opinion on that.
I think X, what I'm more concerned about is XX
Uh-huh. Oh, yeah.
and all that means. I don't need to talk to
Okay.
an ex, but why? Because I'm going to vet this person. Okay. If you're
Right.
using the X to vet them, I can make a case for maybe you might get some good information, not information you probably can't get other places. If you know the circle of friends, you're going to find out a lot about that. But
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
can't
True.
imagine. I can't imagine. Now, you are going to have to meet the ex if y'all ever got married because you got some parenting issues.
Right. Oh, she's already ready
Okay.
to meet me. Yeah. Uh-huh.
That's another call. All right. Thank you. Thank
All
you.
right. Thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Good luck. Take your time. Take your time. Be careful.
Will
And
do.
I hope it goes well. Okay.
Thank you,
Oh
Dr. Clark.
gosh. Thank you. Dating questions. How fun are dating questions? Not as fun as extended family questions, though. No, I don't really know what this is going to be about, but Ginger's calling us with an extended family question from North Carolina. That's a fun state. That's a fun state. Ginger, are you there?
I am. How are you doing?
Oh my gosh, listen to your accent. Just talk to me. I just want to hear you talk.
Well, I'll just tell you how much we care about you. We've been reading everything we can put our hands on since the mid 90s. And we heard you with boys back when you gave the boundaries with boys sweatshirts. Do you remember?
Oh yeah.
You and that was great. That got me through my lunch hour for many years. So thank you.
Well, how about that? And I bet North Carolina, you had some good food in those lunch hours. So tell me why you've called today.
Okay, I have a broken heart because I can't
Uh-oh.
get through to my family. Yeah, my extended family has all one by one, except for my brother who's in heaven, and he was the neutral one. But all of them have stopped talking from about 2003 when we moved to North Carolina. I don't know why, Dr. Cloud. I've asked every one of them. I've begged them. I've apologized, all by text, by email, by phone, and no one will tell me why. And there's one thing, the only thing I could think it even be tied to, well, there's a couple. The first is that around the time it happened, my sister had tried to sleep with my husband. And when he saw what was going on, he left and came home. And I know this may not be the right thing, but I did not confront her. I felt like as a believer, I should give her grace and just thank God that my husband didn't do it and take it to my grave. So I never did.
Wow.
We both we kept that to ourselves. And along about 11 years later, when my heart was so tired of receiving angry texts and emails from her, and I would say, I
Why?
love
Whoa,
you
whoa,
so
whoa,
much.
whoa,
Let's
whoa, whoa!
talk.
Why was she
Go ahead.
sending you angry texts and emails?
That's what I never got. I said over and over, what have I done? If you can just tell me, we can
Now
work anything out. I would tell her.
wait. Is this during the period that you said they won't communicate with you?
Yes, sir. That's all. I mean, I got it the one way. They wouldn't ever answer me, though. So I
Oh,
got
so they are
angry emails from my
communicating.
mom.
And what are these angry emails? There's. I thought that it sounded originally like there was a vacuum, silence. But
Yeah,
they're
sorry.
bombing things your way. What are they saying to you? Angry about
Yeah,
what?
they go from periods. Well, the main thing is they will never tell me why. But my mom will go as far. She's in heaven now, but she went as far as to say, write to my husband, say you should divorce her. She's a terrible person. She was a mistake and should have been born anyway. My sister just calls me all kinds of names, and
Okay, but
I
what
never had
wait,
confronted her.
stop just a second. She sends you a text and what does it say?
I wish, gosh, she stopped talking in 16. I'm trying to remember. You are very passive aggressive. It's all terrible names. I'll be in church and start getting texts and say, please wait and we'll try to talk later, but I can never get her to talk to me.
Okay.
So I don't
And
know.
so
I know.
this is who? Your mother? No, your mother's in heaven. Your sister and
Yes,
who else?
and the little brother that I was close to both of them before he moved away from the state, and now unfortunately they've gotten my dad to believe it. He's 86 and in poor health, and I am literally going down about once a month trying to love him back in a relationship with me, and he's getting angrier and angrier because he spends days with them hearing more stories that aren't true.
What does he say to you? What stories?
He calls me a con artist, and I'm like, I finally confronted him. Dr. Cloud, I could never do that because he taught me, he was one of those that, hey, shut up, I'm going to give you something to cry about that you talk about all the time, So I learned to stuff my emotions and became a very anxious person. But last month for Father's Day or month before, I finally said, Dad, that really hurts. And he just kept looking in my eye and justifying it. I'm like, Dad, that really hurts. I repeated it 4 times. Well, I see how you talk to your husband. And I'm like, Dad, what do you mean? Well, you call him in the kitchen when you're here and say, Mike, do you want to take Dad out to eat? That's a con artist to me. I'm like, Dad, that's my thoughtfulness to you and my husband to see if he feels like going out and if you do. And it's just, he's got his, I guess he's, what we kind of see is, he's just listened so much, he can't believe in me. He's very, very, very angry. And I as a result, I get
and you literally,
depressed.
there's no issue, objective issue. I hear all the name calling, you're a con artist, blah, 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 blah. But there's no specific issue or event that happened.
The only thing I can think of other than the sleeping with you thing, which around that time is when she really stopped being quiet for a little while. And I think maybe she may have been guilty and thought that if she talked to you, I might say, hey, what happened? And I didn't say that, by the way, till 2016. After all those years of text, I finally said, what happened? Please tell me what happened. And I mentioned my husband's name. And then it was like, I'm never speaking to you again. It's almost got worse.
Okay.
The only other thing, and I prayed my heart out.
What's the other thing?
That's where I'm going. I've prayed so hard about it. I bought a car from each my sister and my brother, and it was around the same time, and I paid them all, and I showed them, I kept a note so I'd never pay them less than I needed. I even paid my sister a $500 finder fee. Years later, my mom starts calling me a thief of the cars, and I never thought you'd take her car and drive to this other state. And I'm like, Mom, what do you mean I pay? So it's just, it's out of control. I just don't know what I can do.
That's the only thing you can think of. All right.
Yes,
and so
that's
what you have done is you've written them all, say, I want to reconcile, let's get together, talk about this, blah, blah, blah. You've done all that, right?
Yes, okay. Sir, numerous times.
Okay. Then what I would do is I would probably, is there anybody outside of the family that has a good relationship with them and you?
There is, but I think she's afraid. She's held me up during this time with her prayer, but I think she's afraid to speak up because of their anger. But go ahead, please tell me what you want to share.
Well, sometimes if you get a third party, they can be, they have the leverage to get y'all together and meet with you and say, I want to be a peace broker here. Sometimes if you have that, an uncle, a pastor, a friend, a family friend, somebody like that. If that doesn't work, then the only other thing probably that I do something else first.
Okay.
One of my favorite, how can I describe this? It's incredible. It's just incredible reality. Let's call it a reality. Is and there's a lot of cultural statements kind of about this. You can't choose your family, but you can choose your friends is an example of this.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely.
Well,
absolutely.
Jesus said that.
Absolutely.
When they came to him and said, your mother and your brother, and sisters are out there waiting on you. He looked at him and said, who are my mother and brothers and sisters? Those who do what God desires. That's my real family now. Your spiritual community is your real family. So the first thing I would
Mhm.
want you to do before you start dealing with them is make sure
Mhm.
that you have emotionally and spiritually done what everybody really should do. Um,
Mhm.
at 18, you grow up and you leave and cleave, right? So you become an adult, and
Mhm.
your family of
Mhm.
origin is no longer your primary source for emotional or other kinds of sustenance. And that's not the way we're
Mhm.
designed. We're supposed to have a community that does that. So I would
Mhm.
want you
Mhm.
firmly grounded in a community that could help you with this. Then what I would
Mhm.
do is I would invite them, say, and I do it in one communication with all of them. And I would
Mhm.
say, try to communicate with each of you individually. It seems like all you guys are talking in together, and you're kind of,
Mhm.
sort of on the same team here, thinking that I
Mhm.
feeling like I've hurt you or done something wrong, this and the other, which I'm open to hear about it, but I don't know what it is. And I'd like to resolve it
Right.
and reconcile. And
Mhm.
so,
Right.
if you would agree to meet with me and a third party, then I would pick a third party, a good family counselor, and say, let's all go talk to
Uh-huh.
them together. And I would extend that
Mhm.
invitation. And then if they refused
Mhm.
it or came back and attacked you or whatever, I would, you know, as Jesus said, sometimes you got to, let the dead bury the dead. That's what
Right.
a guy was talking about his family when he said that. He said, Come and
Mm.
follow me. Come and follow me." And he
Mhm.
goes, "Well, let me go first bury my father," which probably meant
Right.
wait until he dies, stay there and wait until he dies, and then I'll come. He said, "No, let the dead bury the dead," meaning
Mhm.
that sometimes and trust me, you guys are listening to this. I am all for strong extended families. Okay, we
Right.
need
Me
each
too.
other in generational ties with our families of origin. But what I'm saying here
Absolutely.
is sometimes people's families of origin are not, what's the right word? Not wise to be connected to. You do
Okay.
have to leave and cleave and
Um.
unplug when
Mhm.
you've done everything that you can do. Now, I'm not
Mhm.
for that. I'm for families
Mhm.
being together. But
Mhm.
sometimes if you're going towards the light and you want them to come stand with you in the light, what I mean by the light is honesty, forgiveness, reconciliation, owning our problems, working this out. That's the light. You go stand in the light, invite them into the light. If they choose to remain in the darkness, you're not judging them. As he said,
Right.
this is the judgment that light has come into the world and people love the darkness rather than the light. So we don't judge people
Mhm.
sometimes when we have a necessary ending with them. What we do is we come into the
Right.
light and we invite them to join us. And if they don't want to come and they
Mhm.
stay over there, then that's where they are, and you move on with people in the light. And that I would just that's what you have to do.
Okay. I have a
Okay.
couple questions if you have a minute.
I've only
The
got a
only thing
second
I
because I got to get to some other people, but tell me fast.
know, okay. The only thing I know that might affect this is I know you're absolutely right because I've gotten sick over it. So I've been working my way out of depression and hope I'm not going in because it's getting worse. But one of her ex-husbands said to me one time in confidence after they divorced that he's a doctor, by the way, and
Now
said
wait a
he
minute.
thought
Stop.
she was
Stop. Hold on a second. Did you say one of your ex-husbands?
no hers. I'm married to the same person for 41 years, but she's
Okay.
had a
One
tough
of
time
one
and
of your
her,
sister's ex-husbands.
yeah.
This
And
is the
he told
sister
me
that
one time,
tries to sleep with her sister's husband.
right, right.
Yeah, we're
And he
probably
told me one
not going to
time,
see her as the source of advice for life, right? But so what did she
uh,
say?
this was a medical doctor that they divorced, and he said, I believe with all my heart that she is borderline personality disorder. Well, for a minute, it stung me really bad because we were still in a relationship, and I thought, is he trying to say something bad about her because of the anger? I never looked at that at all. But recently, you know how the Bible says go to a multitude of counselors. I've asked people that I know in the medical field with me. I'm a nurse, and they say that she has some of the characteristics, but you don't have to have them all. So I'm somewhere between, do I read a book on borderline and try to do that? I've got plenty of compassion. I wanted to forgive her a long time ago, In fact, when I found out about that with my husband, I didn't feel anger or hurt. I'm honest. My compassion just came all over me. I
So
thought, wow, I want.
what is the question? Just because somebody has a personality disorder doesn't mean that we ignore things. It means we might learn how to more strategically interact with them. But what difference does it make?
I guess I'm wondering if that's what made her close completely off. And she had said earlier in my life, I hated you from the day you were born. And I just didn't see it. I didn't understand that. But I thought, and I have compassion, but should I even have more compassion and just step away because there may be a real illness here? Or is it just some people have said jealousy?
I don't think you step away because of a diagnosis. And first of all, I really, really would be very careful about labeling anybody with a personality disorder diagnosis without really, really knowing a lot. And what some people do is once they get the label in their hand, then they write people off like you can't deal with them. That's just ridiculous. Okay. So I wouldn't diagnose somebody and deal with them according to that. We deal with people according to their behavior. And then we interact with that behavior in the most appropriate way. Now, sometimes if we understand where they're coming from, okay, we treat the behavior differently because we realize it may not be volitional. They may have some sort of psychosis going on and not even be aware of where they are, time, place, and person, in situation. So, but no, I would deal with her. I wouldn't try to play amateur diagnostician. And what I would do is deal with her in the way that actually, if you're going to have a relationship with a borderline, you're going to need two things: love and limits. Okay. Yes, that's how we treat borderlines. And what some people do is they give them all the love with no limits, and it regresses them, and they even become nastier sometimes. And sometimes they give them all limits without any empathy and love, and it doesn't heal the original characterological split and deficit, which oftentimes is an invalidatory experience of their own emotional states. Nobody understands them. That's probably true. And developmentally, that could have been very, very true. And the other thing to remember is all borderlines are not the same. There are envy-based borderlines. There are abandonment-based borderlines. There are structuralist borderlines. There's lots to do. So I would not even, you're not a clinician. I wouldn't be trying to treat it. I wouldn't be trying to understand it. I would relate to her based on what behavior you're getting. And right now, you're getting hatred and spewing, and I would not allow that, even if she were a borderline patient. You say, no, that's not okay. You're not going to attack me. If you want to talk to me, but you're not going to attack me. I'm not going to listen to that. Okay?
Yeah. The only other thing is she now has cancer, and I feel a pressing need to try to help her even more. And
that's what you're doing. You're reaching out to say, I want to help you. I want to reconcile. And it is. In fact, I'd even like to help you with your sickness, but I can't do it if you won't talk with me. All of that changes nothing in the answer I gave you.
Okay, gotcha.
You're inviting her into a reconciliation process. Okay. And once they come to the table, then you can deal with a bunch of stuff. And you can mention that in your note. I'd love to help you with your cancer if we could talk. Okay?
Okay.
All right. I hope that's helpful to you. Very, very tough.
Very much.
Tough situation. Okay, let's go back to the phones. Let me give out the number. Do we have time? Yeah, 844-940-2774 is the number to call to get on the show. And also, remember, guys, go check out boundaries.me. Boundaries.me. We got a lot of new stuff coming up there all the time, new courses. Been getting a lot of feedback from you guys that you love it. Just found out yesterday. If you go to boundaries.me, then you can sign up for a free 14-day look-see. And what you're going to do is you're going to go in there and get access to the whole library of courses. And so you get 14 days to check it out. And here's what my team told me yesterday, that sometimes over 9 out of 10 people that check it out for 14 days, they decide to stay. I think there was one month where they said it was a little under 9, 8 points. Point being, it's not for everybody, but it is for a lot of us. So go check it out. Boundaries got me. Okay, let's go back to the phones. Tammy, Washington State, who has daughter issues. I got daughter issues too, Tammy. Help me. I got a couple of those
Hi,
creatures. How are you?
I'm doing good.
Good.
How are you?
What's up? Well, I was
Well,
reading here. Your daughters have two kids. Is that?
Yes, a 11 and 8-year-old boy, or a boy and a girl, and they've lived with us for the last 3 years. My daughter was in a very toxic marriage, ended up cheating on her husband. It was more verbal abuse on his end. Anyway, so we allowed the two of them to come live with us. And now it's just our daughter. That lasted for a few months. Now it's just our daughter. She's been with us for, like I said, 3 years.
Wait a minute. Hold on a
And
second. Hang on. You allowed the two
okay.
of them to come. You allowed who to come live with you?
My daughter and her husband, they were going to work out their relationship. Well, that fell through. He ended up walking away just about 3 months into living with us. We thought we'd let them pay off debt and maybe work some of that out, go see a counselor. Well, he didn't want to see a counselor. She did. But anyways, I guess I don't even know where to start. But what's going on now is that our daughter is making all kinds of bad choices, acting like a rebellious teenager, basically, with two children. And the children are very dependent on us. They love their mom and their dad, but we're their security, and they want to be at our house and, that kind of thing.
And they're how old again? 9? You said 9 and 11?
11 and 8.
Oh, 11 and 8.
11 and 8. Yes. And, things like, my daughter's drinking excessively. She'll leave for the night, not come back home, not tell us where she's at. We don't ask anymore. We just kind of let her go. That'll be just for a night, and then she'll come back. She's in and out of boyfriends.
The assumption is that you guys are going to take care of the kids, right?
Yes, right. And her men choices haven't been good choices. She's ended up with STD, had an abortion just recently. And then she's, using marijuana, and I'm assuming that's it. I don't know. And then alcohol to kind of mask what's going on inside of her. And we would like to be very open with her, but she doesn't accept it. And anytime we tell her we need some ground rules here in our home, because it's our home that you are staying in, she threatens to move out and sleep in her car, quit her job.
Stop for a second.
Yeah.
She's agreeing with you.
Right.
I mean, because if you're going to have ground rules, well, ground rules only apply if there's some consequences to them, right?
Right.
So what she just told you is, if we have ground rules, then I don't want to live here. And that would be the essence of ground rules anyway. So at least you guys are on the same page there.
Right. She'll say, she's very responsible when it comes to schooling. She's been going to school through the year, college, and she is very responsible with her job, but with her children, not. And with men, she's just not socially street smart. I don't even know how to say it.
No, I get it.
She's kind of what
she's got some serious characterological problems here. So what is the question?
Yeah. Well, so the question is, my husband and I are both believers, and we're both on the same page, but every now and then we kind of, little bit of friction, not in a fighting way, but just more of, I think he needs to be more upfront with her, which he has been.
What is the question?
But the question is, are we hurting her by and I know you don't have the full story, but are we hurting her and the children by allowing her to live with us with no real ground rules? And I'm not even talking about ground rules. We're not like, want to be sure that she's, coming in at a certain time. We just want to know, if you're not going to be home, please let us know. Men aren't allowed to sleep in your bed. One night I caught a man in her bed. And, it just,
Okay, give me
It
give
just
me the
hurts.
question.
She's always been okay. So the question is, are we doing her justice by allowing her to stay there without any ground rules? We've even thought about maybe having a contract. That was the most recent thing my husband has said. We need to have a contract if you're going to live here, but you are free to go if you'd like to go. And he's told her that. And she's verbally abusive to us. I mean, it's just sometimes she can be so mean and
Okay,
hateful
so
with her
Tammy,
words.
I get the picture
Yeah.
about her. I understand.
Okay.
Okay, I get it. What's the question?
The question is, are we doing her harm or ourselves harm by allowing her to live with us?
Well, whether you're doing yourselves harm is up to you guys. Some people have a high
Right.
tolerance for pain. You know, she said she's abusive and angry and this, that, and the other. I don't know if it doesn't hurt you. I guess you're not doing yourself harm. I wouldn't want somebody talking. I don't want to have a house like that.
No,
I don't
but
want.
she
I don't
will
want to. Hold on a second. I'm telling you,
yeah.
if it's hurting you, then that's a decision that you have to make, right?
Yeah.
How her behavior is hurting you or not. Okay. Are you hurting her or the kids?
That's what I'm wondering.
It sounds like short term at least you're probably helping the kids. Okay,
Right.
you're providing some stability for them. You're providing some good relationships, a stable environment, this and the other. You're probably what you're doing with her. You could say that you are hurting her if you want to look at it that way, and that you are enabling her to not have to
Right.
get well. So you're
Right.
not actively causing anything, but you are allowing this thing to progress and regress and go longer. So in that sense, you're delaying her come to Jesus moment where she could get well.
Yes.
So
Yeah. But it's
I think
scary on both
the
ends.
thing you have
And
to
that's
listen for a second. Listen.
Yeah.
I think the thing you
Okay.
have to weigh here, it's very clear what to do with her. That's not even a hard question. Are you kidding me?
Okay.
A 29-year-old living in your house, like being angry at you and calling you names and threatening and all that kind of stuff. Who puts up with that? From a 29-year-old, who puts up with it?
Right.
The only reason you would
Right.
even be confused about that is these two little munchkins that you love and you don't want to disrupt their life. That to me is the big dilemma here.
Yes.
So that's
and we've
kind of the
even
question.
talked about letting her go and asking her, do you want to just go, have your free time or whatever you might call it, and allow us to just take care of the kids? I don't know. And then when we tell her we want to set boundaries, she'll say she's going to go live out of her car. She wants to commit suicide, and she'll say that from time to time. She wants to
Tell
die.
her
She thinks
when
about
she
it all the
says
time.
when she asks about that, ask her, is she serious? I need to know.
I
If
believe,
you talk about suicide,
yeah.
I'm gonna take you seriously. Are you serious? Is that just how you're feeling? Are you really planning on hurting yourself? I really need to know that. Okay. I would ask her about that. And if she is, then you call 911 or you call a hospital or something. We take that very, very seriously. Okay.
Okay.
But when you take the safety issue out of it, is she safe? And she says, I'll go live in my car. Say, great. Enjoy yourself. But if you want to come back,
Yeah.
you're welcome to, but not without any rules. We have expectations here.
Yeah. So
Okay?
should we
Does that
have
help?
rules and stick with them? Yes. Should we have rules and stick with them? And maybe have her sign a contract? Is that if she stays there, if she wants to do that, and if she doesn't, should we say you're free to go?
Stop.
Yes.
Stop.
Yes.
If your husband walked in with a stick of dynamite and put it in your china cabinet and lit it, what would you do?
Run? I don't know.
Well, okay. Let's say after it blew up.
Know.
You do something, right?
Yes. Right.
Okay, so just stop.
Get help. Yeah.
You said should we have rules? Everybody has rules. You just hadn't written them down.
Yeah.
Somewhere you got a rule. It's not okay to bring a stick of dynamite in here and blow up my china cabinet. We just hadn't written it down. C.S.
Right.
Lewis said that some people think they're tolerant, right? And all these people talk about
Yeah.
how tolerant they are. He said, well, go up and punch them in the nose and see how tolerant they actually are. See, everybody's got rules.
Oh, right.
It's what you're not doing is you're not making them overt. They're not clear.
Sticking with them. Yeah.
And sticking with them.
Okay.
So
Right.
I guarantee you, call my daughters.
And I sense that.
I got two daughters, you know, in the 20, how old are they now? 20 and 18, 19 and 20. And I've already told them, said, guys, you know, after college, I don't know what you got planned, but it ain't gonna look like what it used to look like around here. You know, if you want to come here and stay a while to figure it out, you're gonna pay some rent. There's gonna be expectations and blah 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 blah. So you get to decide that, and you're not helping anybody. Everybody has rules. You can't live life without rules. We couldn't drive down the street. The rule is stay on the right side of the road. You just aren't enforcing anything.
Right. Right.
Okay. Does that help?
And the enforcing would be that if she didn't, I mean, if she consented to the rules and she didn't live by them, I mean, not that there's not any grace, you know, from time to time. We've had more than grace, you know, but then there's the door.
Absolutely.
Right?
There's always the door. There's always the door. At some point, it's just she's asking, what do I need to do for somebody to have a rule around here? At some point, I guess if she grabbed you around the neck, you know, you would finally say there's a rule and you'd call the police.
Yeah.
But you just have to figure out where these are. You've got to define your boundaries, and you've got to say, you can live here. You can live here. I wouldn't call it rules. You can live here, but here are our requirements.
Right. Because we understand she's an adult. Yeah.
Well, I don't care how old she is. A 3-year-old has requirements. A 10-year-old has requirements. A 15-year-old has requirements. A 50-year-old's going to move my house has got requirements. Everybody has rules. That's what I'm trying to show you here. Everybody has rules. Yeah. To think that you can say, should I have some rules? You already have them. You're in a bunch of angst. These rules are being violated every single day. You've just never made them clear. And there's no consequences.
Oh, I see. I see.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I got to run. We are out of time.
Okay.
But my main concern is for those kiddos. So just however this thing falls out, do the best you can to keep them safe and all of that. Okay. Thanks for your call.
Ours too. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. It's so hard with, and you know what? You put this in any kind of context, really. I was going to say with your own kids, when you have adult children, which is a stupid term. Okay, there's no adult child. There may be an adult that you brought into the world, but if they're over 18, they are an adult. They're not a child. But here we find ourselves with people that are living in situations where adult behavior is required. Employee, adult offspring who lives in your home, spouse, friend, extended family. We have requirements for adult behavior, okay? You can't let them act like children in any of those contexts. And so when we violate adult expectations, adults have choices, and if they violate expectations in their context that are clear, then they pay the consequences. That's adulthood. So we got to make them explicit. We have to tell people what the expectations are, and we have to mutually agree upon them. And then we can hold each other accountable. Okay, guys. Gosh, I wish we had more time. You know, I oftentimes find myself going, how does this go so fast? You know what else goes fast? Sometimes our problems in life, time goes by fast because we're not addressing them. And you think you're not addressing something for a month, turns into 6 months, turns into a year, 2 years, 3 years, and then we hadn't addressed it. So step up, address the problems, stop the pain, try to get to health, and find somebody to help you do that. It's been great to be with you guys again. Share the program with others if you find it helpful, and we hope you do. And go to boundaries.me and check out all of the stuff we have there to take us all to a process which takes us to the next level. Okay, guys, we will see you tomorrow. Do we have our time for tomorrow, Albie? Are we at a regular time? I think we are. I'm sorry. Is today Friday? Today's Friday. We're not here. Speaking of time going by, yep, we are. We will see you Monday. How about that? You know, there's a good thing about that. I don't have physical therapy for 2 more days. That makes me happy because I'm not going to hurt. For those of you who've been listening to me bemoan my recovery here from surgery, is you thank you for your prayers, by the way. Anyway, okay, I am totally regressing now into marginal psychosis. I don't know what I'm talking about. So I'm going to sign off so you don't have to listen to me. Okay, guys, love you. I will see you Monday. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you then. Bye-bye.